execution phase. Execution phase is the work where we are actually going to execute the plans, where the perform work is manage the team, resources, and stakeholders to deliver the project output. Stakeholders is nothing but the people who are directly or indirectly affected by the projects. So stakeholders are no one but where we are going to work with them. And then it comes the monitoring and controlling. In the execution phase, there are so many things are going to happen where we have to track performance, compare actual assess what is going on, manage changes, address risk, issues, and ensures the project stays on track to meet objectives. And then the final step is closure. There, the formal activities and finalize all the things where we have to going to obtain the formal acceptance, close contracts, release resources, document lessons learned, and etc. These are the 5 steps that we are going to do and learn about initiation, planning, execution, monitoring, and controlling. Sorry, monitoring and controlling and closures. And comes the terms where, like the scope. What is scope? You can ask, what is scope? So, the scope defines the work that needs to be done to deliver a product, service, or result with the specified features and functions. Where now, as I told you, I want to construct a house. I didn't tell them how many floors I want to do. So obviously I should ask, right? So as a project manager, what they will have to do? The scope is like, okay, Minu has asked me to build a house with only ground floor. So that is a scope. So that includes what the project is required, all the work required to complete the project successfully. So as I told, it is only a ground floor. What excludes the scope is there is no first floor. So it is not need to be done from our point. So the key point you have to remember is clear scope help prevent scope creep, control costs, manages time, and ensures stakeholder satisfaction. Scope creep is nothing but where the unplanned thing is going to divert a project is called a scope creep. So that you can learn in the coming classes. So as I told, there is a waterfall life cycle, requirement gathering, that is initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and controlling, and closure. So, predictive method, there are some important terms you have to keep in mind actually. A project management plan. A overall project that defines how the project will be executed, monitored, and closed. So that is the project management plan. So, and then like it defines how the project will be executed, monitored, and closed from initiation. And then it comes the scope statement. The documents the project scope, deliverables, assumptions, constraints, and acceptance criteria. So the scope statement is what? What are all the deliverables we are going to give? What are all the assumptions? Assumptions is nothing but what risk is going to happen. What can cause? Maybe a driver who's bringing the bricks is met with some accident. Sorry, it should not happen, but that is an assumption. Or maybe he has some personal issues he cannot make in time. So that is also an assumption. So we have to think futuristic way and then constraints. What is blocking the current situation of the project? And then comes the acceptance criteria where it will be list of, okay, as I told, first floor is not required. So we have to write it that and stakeholders needs to be accepted. And then it comes some acceptance criteria like using the bricks not instead of hollow blocks. We have to use cement and all those things. It will come under acceptance criteria. And then the work breakdown structure. This is very, very important. Like if I'm going to plan the project, okay, and then I have given a scope statement. After that, what? We have to do the work. For that, we have to break down the work. If we see, oh my God, it is going to take a 1 year to complete the whole house. But we don't have to panic because we are going to distribute the work to the teammates who is working with us in a hierarchical breakdown. So, Minu is going to work on cement and Ram is going to work on procurement gathering and Nitya is going to work on customer care or customer satisfaction or work with them closely. So those work will be breaking down here. And then the schedule. Okay. Now we have broke the work. Okay, we are going to do this. Then what? How are we going to schedule it? So what comes after what? So basement for that bricks and then cement. I have to mix it. So all this schedule will come under this. And it comes a cost baseline. The very important thing is to manage the cost and how are we going to budget it. So cost baseline comes under that. It is the approved version of the time phased budget. So we don't know like what might happen. It can happen, it can exceed, it can decrease. So all those things. And then the quality plan. Whatever we are working, it should be quality, right? No one will expect what is not quality. So it defines the quality standards, metrics, activities to ensure deliverables meet requirements and everything. And then the stakeholders, individual groups or organizations that can affect or affected by the project. It can indirectly or directly affect us. So that is the stakeholder. And then the risk management. Obviously, life is about risk. So what about the project? Obviously, there are going to be risks. So we have to identify it before it and then start analyzing it. What might be the solution? So planning the responses. After planning the responses, whether the risk is going to succeed or not, whether we have done correct or not. So we are going to monitor risk. So until the project is going to complete, there are risks. So risk management is a very important part that it is going to be everywhere. So it is not only clearing PMP exams, but in life, there should be a risk management and then the change control. Yeah. Now, customer have changed their mind. So, okay, I think ground floor is not enough. So I want first floor. So that time we are going to evaluate the process. So it is not an easy thing to do. So we have declared a scope statement. We have given the work breakdown structure. We have scheduled it. We have budget planned and quality plan. Okay. Stakeholders are different. They are thinking different things and we have planned risk management. If I'm going to add on a project process, I have to evaluate. First thing first, before change, we have to evaluate what is going to do. So whether this has to be approved or rejected or how we are going to manage changes. So it should go inside proper change management plan. So that is what a change control is. And then the lessons learned. Whatever we have done through the project, whatever we have gained the knowledge during the project to improve. So that is going to happen in the future projects. So this is a win-win situation where we are going to learn the lesson and implement with the experience. So predictive method is better suited for well-defined and stable requirements, projects with low uncertainty, compliance driven, projects where changes are costly or difficult, and when predictability control or documentation are critical. So this is all about the predictive waterfall method. This is not it. This is the basic foundation. We are going to do it. Then comes our hero, where it is based on the PMBOK guide, where every project has a 49 processes. Obviously, when you are going to be a PM, my member, you can see it in the PMBOK guide. So, in these processes, like initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing. So, each has this 2, 24, 10 process, 12 process, and everything where integration management is nothing but what we are going to do in this particular cycle. So there are scope management, schedule management, cost management, quality management, resource management, communication management, risk management, procurement management. So in this initiation process, we have to develop a project charter and identify the stakeholders. So for each thing, we have tools, inputs, outputs, and everything. I'll tell you which course you can see in the end of the video. Just you have to see the foundations, what is going to happen. So these are the things we have in initiating process and then planning has 24 processes. All these processes are given here. So we are going to study this in coming things. So just look at it. Develop a project management plan. So we are going to plan a scope management, collect requirements, define scope, create work breakdown structure, and then for scheduling, we have to plan schedule management, define activities, sequence the activities, estimate the activities, develop schedule, plan cost management, estimate cost, determine budget, and etc. And then comes our hero, which is plan quality management and then plan resource management, estimate the activities, how we are going to plan communication, how are we going to plan risk, identify risk, perform qualitative risk analysis, perform quantitative risk analysis, plan risk responses, and plan procurement management. And comes the, this is quite big, but this is all we are going to make it set before executing the process. So this comes under 10 process where we are going to direct and manage project work, manage project knowledge, manage quality, acquire resources, develop team, manage communication, implement risk responses, and conduct procurements. The same thing comes for monitoring and control. There are 12 processes. When we are started executing it, we have developed a team, we are going to manage the team, we are managing the communication and everything. Things might go wrong. Things cannot be under our control every time. So that time we have to monitor and control how the process is going on the estimated plan. What is actually planned. It may not go as what actually planned. It can vary. So that is why the process is so important where we are going to monitor and control project work. Perform integrated change control. Integrated change control is what is necessary. Whatever the changes is going on, it requires a formal approval. And we are going to validate the scope. Okay. Where we are going to validate the scope? Yes, now here we have defined it. We are executing it. And before closing it, we have to obviously validate the scope and control the scope when it is exceeding the expectations and control the schedule. Okay, these people are working on this and everything is in control. Then we are going to control cost. This is very important where we have to complete our project within the budget. So, and then we are going to control the quality, whether the quality is good or bad. And then we are going to control the resources. Okay, who is working what? Resources can be anything. It can be internal, it can be external, and everything. We have to going to control the resources. And then we are going to monitor communication. Each stakeholders are done with the update or whatever it is. And then we are going to monitor risk. And then we are going to control procurements. Okay, where the things we have bought, the things is useful or the control procurement, the procurements are being used properly or it is used extensively or it is used very less. And then the closing process. So don't panic. It is not a big thing. It is just a process. Obviously, if we are planning a birthday party, we are going to initiate the first, whatever is required. Okay, we have to invite them, we have to do this. The project right charter is just like the cake we have to buy. Okay, the cake should be in chocolate flavor. There should be a birthday baby, obviously. So that is all the project charter is. So identify the stakeholders. Obviously, our family are the stakeholders. We have to identify whom should we obviously, we have to go and ask parents for money, right? Now, maybe we are a working professional, but so identify the stakeholders, whose power, who has to be there, who is less power, the relatives, the friends. It's not like it's in the project terms. And then we are going to plan the date, how we are going to plan, where the cake should be placed, and everything like that. So, executing on the birthday party and monitoring how the party is going on, whether a relative kid who spoiled the cake. So, we have to plan the risk management. Previously, what if cake is melting? It should come on time. So, everything comes under risk management, obviously, and comes the closing process. It is the closing phase where the birthday party is done and we are going to tell them thanks and we have to clean everything up and we have to go to sleep. So, when clearing the documentation, it has to be formally written and cleaned properly. This is all about monitoring the life cycles of the predictive method, which is waterfall method. Hope you liked it and let's come with a PDF.